Yo, 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 what up with it? What's up, y'all? What's cracking? What it is, what it ain't, what it should be, what it could be. But y'all already know what time it is, and I'm here with my favorite co-host, you know what I'm saying? My man Shad, man. We about to get up into it. It's a lot of this conversation. So, man, hey, look. I just want to get up right up into it, man. I'm excited for this conversation. So, who do I want to start off with? Who should we start off this conversation with? Let me see. Let me see. So we left off in a little conversation, I guess so, and I was like, man, we gotta save it because of content, man. But so when we looking around at some of these college players and in college football and some of these NFL teams needs right now as it stands right now in the NFL and the way that these teams look, who's some of these players that some of these NFL teams could benefit from right now as it stands right now, just looking at the teams right now. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we just speculate, just conversation today. You know what I'm saying? It really ain't no slides, ain't nothing, presented or anything. Just conversation about some of these players in college football going to the NFL team. So who you got in mind? Because I know you got somebody cooking. I know you got something on your mind, Shad.
What you mean?
And you ain't got nothing. You ain't thinking about nobody right now, dog. You ain't got nobody. All right. So look. So I think it's so. Let's start off with, let's say, uh Rylan Powell, the edge rusher from Virginia Tech. What NFL teams right now you think could benefit from him on the field, or what
That's
team you think is a good fit for him?
I mean, it's a few teams. I mean, everybody needs a pass rush. I think it's gonna come down to,
Yeah,
obviously scheme fit, his size, because Virginia Tech is one of those schools that usually have those kind of undersized guys. Just kind of due to like their recruiting and the talent that's really available to them.
yeah.
But I mean, more so, I feel like a team probably that is kind of more defensively driven in terms of like their head coach. Like maybe obviously like a Commanders,
Oh,
Texans. Just kind of looking at
Texans.
some of the teams.
All right.
Um, Maybe even the Patriots.
Okay.
I think he's probably a very high character guy. So obviously with Gerard Mayo being the head coach over there, I'm sure he's gonna want to get this side of the ball,
Yeah.
pretty much solidified. And again, I think it's just really gonna come down to, how teams value him. Obviously the combine, just a whole myriad of different things. So I think he can help a lot of teams, honestly.
Right. Yeah. Hey, yo, yeah, that's the truth, dog. Because like when you do look at it like that, yeah, there a lot of teams could use a pass rusher. I don't like you said the Patriots. I heard you say the Patriots. The Dolphins could use one. I'm thinking somebody because Antoine Roland Powell. Let me get it pulled up the stats so you can see the stats too from some of the players because this is how I'm looking up players from the statistics too. So I'll get it pulled up for you so you could take a look at it too while we talking and everything about the shit. You know what I'm saying? Let me see. All right, can you see that, bro?
Yeah.
All right, so Antoine Powell Ryland. Now I had his name wrong, but anyway, he lead in the ACC in sacks, of course, with 12 of them, with 12 of them things. So I mean, he the sack leader in the ACC, and regardless what anybody want to say about the ACC, that is not the bottom of the bottom. But when you got 12 sacks, and I want to see how many 12 sacks is in all the conferences. Like he might even be leading the whole all the conferences. Let me see. Because I didn't yeah, he's leading all conferences, dog. He's the number one sack leader in college football, dog. Like as of right now, I mean, with 12, even with 12 sacks, I think that's a first round pick. Is it you safe to say that? I mean, is it safe to say that right now? I mean, this late in the season, I mean, what is it, week 11 right now? 6'3", 252.
See that
Um,
what see that what not gonna come in at. He's an edge at 6'3", 252. I mean,
yeah,
obviously he's kind of a tweener. They usually kind of want those guys maybe 6'4". I think it's really gonna come down to his arms, how long his arms are,
yeah, his
really.
measurable.
Yeah, because that's gonna be the biggest thing with him, his measurables. Like I said, because I know Virginia Tech they usually have a lot of those undersized guys, but they really come out to play. So I think that's gonna be what he's gonna have to pretty much kind of overcome.
Yeah.
Just that. Which I mean, they've been short, successful, pass rushers that have operated out of the 4-3 and things like that. Him being 6'3", 252, like I said, it's just really gonna come down to how the team, kind of looks at him. His 40. They maybe want to see if he can, play, in a 2-point stance versus, just being down in a down stance. So it's really gonna
Mm-hmm.
be interesting when you have, players like this that are really talented, but trying to figure out where they're gonna play. Because like right now, what San Diego State, Trey White, 6'2", 245. Again, another guy that's pretty much undersized, but he's listed as an edge. So like I said, it's gonna be kind of interesting to kind of see how these guys, factor into
Yeah.
the next level and stuff like that. Because it's always a premium on pass rushers. And
Yeah.
the
Because they.
unfortunate thing about this, though, I don't mean to cut you off. The
Nah,
unfortunate
you
thing
good,
about
brother.
this,
Good. Keep
though,
going.
is that a guy that probably does not have a crap ton of sacks, probably those may be the guys that they may look at more, like the guy from Penn State. I know he had 2 sacks against Ohio State this weekend. I know he was a big time pickup in the transfer portal. Like Kyle Kennard, um, I'm sure he's probably gonna go high. What is his measurables? 6'5". See, that's what I'm saying. So you gotta go up against a guy like Kyle Kennard who is having a pretty doggone good season. Pretty
Mm-hmm.
much helping spearhead that South Carolina defensive front. So,
For
I
sure.
mean, he along with the young man from Penn State, more or less, those probably may be your top two edge guys. I'm not sure if the NFL pundits have put out their big board yet, but I'm sure Kennard is going to be one of those guys that's probably going to rank relatively high, if not the number one guy, because he has everything that you want, the length, just production, all that good stuff like that. So
Yeah,
it's gonna
because
be
he listed
interesting.
because they both Trey White and Kyle Kennard both listed as edges. So Kyle Kennard being an edge outside outside linebacker defensive end hybrid type of guy. Yeah, so they
Yeah,
probably what I'm saying, they got to be able to play outside linebacker. Like for instance, depending on what team, like what the Bengals, I think they do 4-3 over there.
yeah,
So obviously you could pay edge over there. Antoine Powell Riley, he'll fit with a Bengals team, but he wouldn't fit with per se like a Steelers team probably, or maybe he only how he'll fit like a Pittsburgh Steelers system is if dude can play outside linebacker, if he can play standing up too, you know what I'm saying, and not just rushing the edge, you know what I'm saying, because we're gonna need he got to be able to play outside linebacker too. And I don't know if Antoine Powell Ryland can, but if he can, um, I think we'll have to see what is what happens in the pre-draft workouts with him. But if he can play standing up and if he can translate over to edge and outside linebacker, oh yeah, I think he'll translate good over to the next level. Cal Kennard should definitely do transfer over to the next level without a doubt. You was mentioning somebody from Penn State, but I'm not Abdul Carter. Is that who you talking about?
yeah. Dual
Okay.
Carter. Yeah,
Yeah, Abdul Carter. Yeah. He's 20 in the
6'3",
country right now, 6'3",
259.
259.
He doesn't look 259, but I don't know if it's the shoulder pads that they're wearing because I recall Michael Parsons didn't look as big as he was when he was at Penn State. So maybe it must be the color. I know they say the darker colors make people look a little bit
Smaller.
yeah, because he looked at
Hmm.
all of about 230 something when I saw him, but he's 259, 6'3", but
Yeah.
like I say, he's actually playing the edge position, you know what I mean? So
Man, he a deep. He's 6'1", 265. These guys was like, hey yo, like for, and he's putting in work. I mean, obviously he around the cast of others too. Mikhail Kamara from Indiana up there with Kurt Signetti. He's number 4 in the country. He got 9.5 sacks.
psychopath.
Yeah, man. Like, it's like what you call him, psychopath Signetti.
That's what they call him. He's a psycho.
dang, man, these guys. I mean, pretty much these guys are, outside linebackers or whatever. Prince Meelan, he's up there from Ole Miss, and so is Sertain Perkins, but he is a true linebacker with 9 sacks. I think that translates good over from Ole Miss. But yeah, but yeah, I think Antoine Power Riley, he fits with obviously some 4-3 teams out there. I'm trying to think of some 4-3 teams off the top of my head right now. Maybe
I don't
Buccaneers.
know.
You
I
got
don't know
Saints.
because teams are so multiple on defense now. It's really
Mhm.
just about figuring out how you can put the best athletes on the team, on the field now. So I mean,
All right.
I don't know I don't know what these teams are running now. They're one
So
of four right
what
there.
you think? What you think about a guy like so? Obviously, what I'm saying, he gonna be the first round pick coming out the draft, dog. Like he's gonna be the first one pick, first running back pick. He got a high chance of doing that right now. Ashton Genty. Um,
Ashton
I did
Genty,
say the Las
some
Vegas
stiff
Raiders,
competition out there.
huh?
Yeah,
I said the
I
Las
said some
Vegas
stiff
Raiders.
competition out there. Yeah.
What for the running back, right?
Yeah, because like I said, obviously, like I said, I'm not gonna be a hypocrite about it, but I think obviously Ashton Genty shows that, hey, look, I can be a P4 running back. You know what I'm saying? We don't have to do that. But again, when you got a guy like Caleb Johnson that's doing what he's doing in the Big Ten, um, he just
So
has
to
the
and Kyle
style, man.
Muhammad.
I think he's just he and Ali Gordon, obviously, and Marion Hampton. I think those three guys, like, it's just they're bigger guys, they're fast, they're strong. They can do, they can pretty much do it all. So it's gonna be really interesting to kind of see, if Ashton Genty is able to take this Heisman campaign and it transfers over to him being the number one back off the board. Because, like I said, you still have a guy like, we haven't even talked about, like DJ Giddens. Like, I mean, this running back draft is so deep to the point that obviously Ashton Genty is head and shoulders, in terms of statistics and everything above his peers. But I mean, like, it's some really, like, it's been a while since I believe the college running backs have been this deep. And I'm not just talking about just bodies. I'm talking about, like, this is legit production from these guys and not just
Mm-hmm.
1 years. Like, these are multiple years of production from these guys. Me personally, like, I mean Caleb Johnson is my favorite back in this upcoming draft, honestly.
Caleb Johnson. So who you think could benefit? What NFL team you think that he'll fit good with? What NFL teams that you think he'll fit good with? Caleb Johnson, because obviously Caleb Johnson, if
Because he
he
kind
if
of
he keeps up his production the way it is, 6 foot 225, yeah, he's definitely gonna be a first round back dog, like without a doubt.
that's what I'm
Um,
saying. He can run, man. I mean,
yeah,
obviously he's an Ohio kid, so I mean the Bengals just let Joe Mixon go.
that look like that's Ontario, that's Canada.
Oh, that's Canada. I thought they said OH.
Is that yeah? Oh my
That's
yeah, dude,
Hamilton,
my fault.
Ohio.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Hamilton,
yeah,
Ohio, my fault, my fault. You right.
yeah. So I mean, playing for the Bengals. I mean, he can pretty much do it all. I mean, like I said, then you got a guy like Omarion Hampton, who's more of a bruiser. I mean, I think when you kind of look at the NFL right now, and I know obviously we're gonna get into that because some of these teams are just dreadful. I think I think a lot of these teams could benefit from having a run game, because honestly, a lot is made about the quarterback position, as it should be. But I mean, a lot of these quarterbacks, what they need is a sturdy tight end and a good run game to really help. And I think teams, if they look at a team like the 49ers, for instance, right, it's easy to use them as an example because you have a quarterback that they drafted very late in the draft, and he has MVP, garner MVP votes and all that stuff. But again, it's based around the fact that this is a really good team that runs the football and it makes his job a lot easier. And I don't know why it's so hard for teams to do that. Even if you look at a team like the Detroit Lions, like the Detroit Lions can run the ball very well and it makes Jared Goff look very good, who by far is out front in terms of MVP voting. Like it's not even debatable right now. But they are a good running football team. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you have to take. So I think it could be somewhat of a running back resurgence. But like this is a very deep class of running backs. Like I mean, it's I kn- when we talked about it last year, I said it's gonna be deep this year. I did not know it was gonna be this deep though. Like my goodness.
Yeah, it's deep, but I mean, like, so I mean, look, because these obviously it don't look like a lot of NFL teams need a running back, bro. It look like they need an O line. Like, I mean, when you're looking at, I mean, because stats could obviously be deceiving. I mean, a lot of these backs are getting it done. You know what I'm saying? Like, but could you say the Cowboys, the Raiders? I mean, they're under
Cowboys need a
700
running
right
back.
now, but other than that, everybody pretty much toting the rock, bro. You know what I'm saying? Everybody toting the rock. You got this. This is the rushing yards right here, and I got it from I got it set from least to most right now. So I mean, Caleb Johnson right now in the NFL. I mean, what team I think could use him? Obviously, I did. So I'll say the Browns maybe. The Browns definitely could use a back without a doubt. But they need a quarterback first. So they definitely need a quarterback. But you easily could say about that about the Browns, the Jets, the Rams, the Raiders, and the Cowboys. You could say that about all those teams. All those teams need a quarterback. You could say maybe the Bengals, huh? Maybe the Bengals benefit from a running back like Caleb Johnson the most right now. I mean, you still got Joe Burrow, you still got your receivers in the draft. I mean, obviously they're sitting at 4-5. They're playing tonight, the Ravens tonight, and they're at 4-5, so they got the chance to go 5-5 right now. But if their season don't turn out the way that it is, and even if it does, if I'm the Bengals, I'm trying to get some draft capital. I'm trying to work on. I'm trying to get some capital for the draft so that I'm able to trade up into that first round and sneak up there in there and get a running back like a um Caleb Johnson. But I mean, if they're not able to get Caleb Johnson, I mean, there's a like you said, this running back class is so deep. I think that they could easily benefit from each and every one of these guys that's from in the top 10, 15, I'll say.
I
Yeah.
mean, I mean when
In the top 10. I mean, because as far as running backs, I mean, look, Jaquez Hunter from Auburn. I think a lot of people sleeping on him. I mean, his production is still there. He got 900 yards right now. I think he's a very good runner. I think Jaquez Hunter is one of you possibly could say one of the most underrated running backs in college football right now. Would you agree
him,
or disagree?
yeah, he and Jordan James.
Right? You know what I'm saying?
Um, I mean, honestly, it's at the point now where it's so many guys that I don't think teams will be. I mean, obviously, you can go get a back in the first round. I know that's kind of like a no right now. Even
Yeah.
seeing that Bijan and Jameer Gibbs were the last two first round running backs of recent memory.
Right.
But I mean, it's just gonna come down to like, hey, these guys are gonna be here. Is the talent gap between these guys as big as it was when Jameer Gibbs and Bijan came out? I don't really think so. I don't think it's an overwhelming. Obviously, coming into the season, many people looked at it and said, okay, Ollie Gordon is head and shoulders the best running back in college football. But obviously, he hasn't had the year that he wants to have, and unfortunately, it has allowed for other guys to gain ground on him, such as a Caleb Johnson, such as a Omarion Hampton, who was very good in his own right. The young man from Rutgers, Jordan James is playing well. Jaquez Hunter, he literally almost rushed for 300 yards, I believe, 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's a crap ton of backs. Obviously, Scatterboo is a guy that came to life last year, and he's continuing the production that he had from last year to show that it wasn't a fluke over there at Arizona State. R.J. Harvey, you know, over there at UCF. So I mean, it's a multitude of like running backs, and to be honest, it's interesting because every year there's a position group that is just deeper than everything else. And I think the running back position group is so deep, but I'm kind of trying to figure out whether or not is this a
What?
draft where teams need running backs like that.
No, no, I didn't.
So it's gonna be some good guys. And to be honest, man, the way as deep as the running back group is, there's some teams, man, that will be able to, depending on how they want to draft, there's some teams that can literally get two of these guys.
Thought they're gonna come ask me that I take a shit. I ain't take no poop, man. No, but like I fuck, bro. I ain't mean to cut you off, but dang, bro, that's crazy. But yeah, I mean, yeah, you right, bro. You're absolutely right. But you know, and there ain't a big drop off, but the one thing that there was mentioned before about how many attempts these running backs actually got to right now, like what I'm saying, like how much usage they got. So realistically, you think that that matters? Like how many attempts they're gonna have at the end of the season or when their season wraps up? Like looking at Omarion Hampton, he's already got 213 attempts on the season. You know what I'm saying? Versus a guy like Jaquez Hunter, for instance, 132 attempts. You know what I'm saying? But he got 900 yards, and Omarion Hampton is leading them by what, roughly 200 yards, and he's got easily 70 or more, attempts to rush the ball than him. You know what I'm saying? Usage. You think that,
Nah,
obviously, I think that's something that they pay attention to too. But look, man, you right, man. This running back class is
I mean, it,
super
I,
deep, bro.
I mean, it's crazy. I mean, because like I said, you
Super
literally,
deep,
I mean,
bro.
you literally could have a situation where someone could draft Caleb Johnson, and then Tootin will still be there. You can draft both of those guys. Tootin is a guy that you can split out. He can catch the ball. He's a weapon. So I mean, if a team wants to go that route, I mean, you literally could do that. Like you literally could have Omarion Hampton and Brashard Smith on the team together. You know what I mean? R.J.
Mm-hmm.
Harvey and Jaquez Hunter. I mean, so it's teams have a lot. And I'll say the unfortunate thing about this, unfortunately, I feel like it's gonna be a couple of these guys due to 40 times or whatever reason. It's gonna be some of these guys that they might not get drafted, but it's not gonna be to me. It's not gonna be an indictment on their talent. It's just gonna be just look. We don't need an overabundance of running backs like that. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So
Right, 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 right. So that might be a problem with the draft. I get that. So let's talk a little bit about quarterbacks, because we got quarterbacks on there too. So let's what I'm saying, let's chop it up about
quarterbacks.
this quarterbacks, right? Um, so obviously there's a lot of there's a couple teams out there in the NFL that could use a quarterback. Just I mean, stats don't tell the whole story, but I wanted to just pull it up anyway so we can get kind of an idea of the teams out there. And because once you get to looking at teams a little bit, then it just jogs the memory, like, oh yeah, they maybe could use a quarterback. You know what I'm saying? So that's all that's really up there for, because it really don't tell the whole story. Because like for instance, like um my team, I don't think we need a quarterback. You know what I'm saying? I don't think we need one at all. The Panthers, obviously, they can use a quarterback. I don't think the Chargers need a quarterback. You know what I'm saying? The Eagles don't need a quarterback, but they're in
Yeah.
the bottom half of the passing yards for this season so far. But that's what I'm saying. Just looking at the logos or whatever, it's just jogging the memory. But let's talk about Shador, bro. Like, what team can Shador benefit from? Like, because obviously, like, we kind of talked about a little bit earlier, but Shador Sanders, like, I don't want, I don't know if he goes in the NFL and is starting right away is the thing to do for a Shador Sanders. I don't know if that's the right move for him to just go right into the NFL and start. And that's only because of, depending on what program you go to, because that matters. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got somebody like Like we talked about earlier, Spencer Rattler, like he's down there in New Orleans right now, but I think he could benefit better with a team like the Rams being with Sean McVay or Sean Payton, or you know what I'm saying, or one of those guys, or even sitting behind a guy like Joe Burrow and watching and seeing how it's done at a high level instead of being down there in New Orleans like that. So I know that I think that Shador can he can make all the throws without a doubt. You get a little bit of happy feet, but he's probably one of the best pure passers in college football right now. But
Yeah.
going into the NFL is going to be a different task at hand, and I don't know if he goes in there and just starts right away. I think that it's not something that I would want to rush into, especially if he wants to go to a good program. You know, saying how what Coach Prime was saying. Look, I want him to go somewhere where it's warm and it ain't cold, and certain whatever he was saying, the things he was saying. But I think mainly the main thing is make sure he's there developing and he's not rushed into it, because once you get these once a quarterback confidence goes, it's hard to get back. And like I
Yeah.
said, look at Spencer Rattler. You know what I mean? Being one of the number one quarterback coming out of high school, going to the Oklahoma Sooners, losing his job, to Caleb Williams. I mean, he did lose it to Caleb Williams, but still, confidence, and it's taken him a while to bounce back. So it's hard for a quarterback for some reason to bounce back once that confidence goes. So I mean, looking around the NFL, I mean, what team? Because obviously it's just horrible. These quarterbacks can't even get a buck 50 in the air, bro. It's horrible play. What team you think that can not only help Shador develop or it's going to help him with a decent O line, but what team you think fits Shador Sanders?
I mean, based on the teams, we talked about over the phone.
Yeah,
These are the teams that I think they're gonna need a quarterback or should draft a quarterback, should I say?
yeah.
Obviously, the Rams, due to Matthew Stafford. I mean, he's been in the league forever.
Mm-hmm.
The Seahawks, Geno Smith, he's
I
had
like
some
that.
time. The Dallas Cowboys, even though they did sign Dak Prescott, I do think that it's going to be in their best interest to get a quarterback this year. Obviously, the Jets, the Dolphins, the Browns, the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's
Mm.
interesting.
And they just
Uh,
spent all that money, man.
Obviously, my Raiders, the Saints, the well, not the Patriots, but the Giants. So I mean, from a Shador Sanders standpoint, kind of looking at what he likes to do. Obviously, he likes to he likes to throw the ball down the field. So I mean, obviously, the first name that would come to my mind would have to be between the Rams and the Dolphins, personally. But again, it just depends on which one of those teams is going to pick first. Um,
Mm.
I think personally,
It'd probably be the
personally,
Dolphins. It'd probably be the Dolphins.
I could see the Dolphins taking. I think the Dolphins probably going to be. Dolphins are probably looking at the guy that's already playing in the stadium already, in Cam Ward. So, so kind of. But from a fit
But
perspective,
do
I
you
think
do you really see Cam Ward translating over to the NFL better than Shador Sanders?
I do. I do, and the reason, and I'm not just saying this because Cam Ward plays for my team,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm saying this because, and I've said it, Cam Ward looks to be the most professionally ready quarterback, right? Cam Ward took on the task of going from an air raid offense to going over and trying to learn an offense that is a little bit more pro type of offense.
Under
Just
center.
watch it, just watching Cam Ward operate, and obviously again, like I say, this may come off as a homer take, but he's a guy that he's going to make you pay for every single mistake that you do defensively. He's a guy that has a chip on his shoulder. Not saying that Shador doesn't have a chip on his shoulder, because again, a lot of um, young men who have fathers that play professionally, if they show that they have any type of athletic ability to replicate somewhat of what their father did, then
Yeah.
they're going to have a chip on their shoulder. But I think Cam Ward has the ultimate chip on his shoulder, right?
All right.
Playing for the Dolphins, I mean, like I said, him just understanding that offense in and out. I think it would give um, Mike McDaniel just a different dimension in the offense. You're not having to worry about necessarily the injuries, the concussions and stuff like that that they have to deal with Tua. I think Cam's arm is probably a little bit stronger. Cam was a little bit heavier. I think he's a little bit more elusive, obviously, than Shadur is because I've seen him in some situations this year where he's essentially been dead to rights. And that's going to be another thing that's going to be there for Shadur because obviously one of the knocks on Shadur is he holds the ball too much, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, in some of y'all very spirited debates that y'all have had, some people have indicated that hey, can Shador actually play in an offense that is different than an offense that he's basically played in since he was a young man. So that's going to be interesting to see.
That's
Has
why I
all the
think I
talent
like
in
the
the
Rams.
world, yeah, all the talent in the world. Not taking anything away from Shador, but again, if you're having fans say, hey, look, this offense doesn't fit him, and it's an RPO offense. I mean, it's an offense that every particular team in the NFL is utilizing. So it would do you well to be at least somewhat proficient in that offense. But by all accounts, it seems like, hey, look, this isn't my strong suit, and
Right.
this you're gonna have to be able to do that in the NFL to some degree.
So the Dolphins. So you think Cam Ward the Dolphins? I like that, and I also like Shador to the Rams. I like that too, bro. I like that too. I like Shador to the Rams too with Sean McVay. I like that. You know what? I also like him to the Broncos, man. I like him to the Broncos, man. I
Yeah,
like.
throwing Bo Nix away like that.
I mean, I'm not throwing Bo Nix way. I was one of them. I was one that was high on Bo Nix, and I said that Bo Nix will get that offense. And I think he has. I just don't think that. You know what? I just don't think that there's people who's going to hold out from getting him. But realistically, looking at this, the Broncos may not get that pick. The the Dolphins are definitely maybe up there. The way that this year, and I don't know if Matthew Stafford lets the Rams be so bad to the point where they're picking first. But if some reason they are, but if some reason they are, you don't want to count out Indianapolis neither in this because I
But
mean, well, Joe
but this is
Flacco
the
stepping up
question
in
though.
there.
This is the
He,
question though. I don't mean to cut you out. This is the question though. They might not be that bad, but it gets back to how is Shador valued in terms of the quarterbacks.
there you go, there you go, that's a great fit. I would love to see Shador sitting behind Matthew Stafford for a year or for however, man, for a couple of games, well, however that's going to work out, what I mean, with the Rams and the Sean McVay offense, because you know how Sean McVay like to run his offense, dink and dunk. He likes to pass the ball with a nice little run game. With Kyron Williams, and I think they also picked up Blake Corum, if I'm not mistaken. They got Blake Corum over there
Yeah,
too.
Black Horn. Yeah.
Um, so they'll have a nice little run game going. And Sean McVay watching Matthew Stafford, the best NFL pure passer there is in the NFL is Matthew Stafford right now. So the best college pure passer right now is Shador Sanders. And if Shador Sanders can go learn in LA, in nice, sunny, warm LA, in a dome in LA, and behind a Matthew Stafford, I think that's the perfect marriage. I think that's it. Now, you know, coming out of the first round where they have that high of a pick to go after Shador, you know what I'm saying? That's the thing. But I think it's perfect for him. And I think if that's what he wants, but the offensive line is a little shaky. But at the same time, I think that they'll get that together. Obviously, if they went to go grab a franchise quarterback such as Shador Sanders, because now you got two, you'll have Matthew Stafford and Shador Sanders. And I like that. I really like that pick, bro. I really do. I really liked how that sound for him to be able to go there. I think that's a good fit for him. The
I
Giants,
mean,
I don't think the Giants got a chance. I don't think the Giants got a shot in Cleveland.
Cleveland has a good team. I think again, like I say,
They do, but the
to
weather,
kind of
right?
get yeah, to kind of get off of Shador, you kind of look at some of the other quarterbacks. Obviously,
Yeah,
Jackson Dart is up there. I
yeah.
think
Jackson
Carson,
Dart.
I think Carson Beck. I'm not as high on Carson Beck, never was. Dylan Gabriel's an interesting quarterback. Obviously, Will Howard is going to be a an interesting quarterback.
Yeah,
Kyle McCord is going to be an interesting kind of to see. So to be honest, man, I'm almost when we look at the available quarterbacks, obviously right now we can definitively say Jackson Dart, Cam Ward, Shador Sanders, and Dylan Gabriel. Right? I think you can pretty much say like right now, those three guys or those four guys, they're they've cemented themselves as first round draft pick quarterbacks. Right?
yeah. I think that's fair to say. Jackson Dart, Cam Ward,
And
Dylan
then
Gabriel, Shador Sanders. Yeah.
yeah, but then you have the next wave, like a guy like a Garrett Nussmeier who's playing extremely well. Kyle McCord he's flip flop back and forth. Tyler Shock at Louisville, obviously being coached up by Brom, he's having a pretty good year this particular year. So I mean, it's gonna be interesting to kind of see how this quarterback goes because this is not their deep draft was last year, and then obviously Quinn Ewers is another guy who his eligibility is going to be out. So he's going to be factored into this as well. So the more we kind of talk about this, the more I'm kind of obviously it's 7 teams that need a quarterback based on
Mm-hmm.
my assumption. But the question then becomes, do all 7 of these teams feel like that I need to draft one of these guys in the first round? Because in reality, they'll be there in the second round. Like I said, I think Jackson Dart, Cam Ward, and Shador and
From
even
first
Dylan
round.
Gabriel. Yeah, I think all those. I think I will put. I think to be honest, I think Jackson Dart and Cam Ward. I think that's 1A, 1B, and then I'll put Shador, and then I'll put Dylan Gabriel.
But
So
then there's a drop off.
I don't
Yeah,
think.
man.
No, to be honest, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think it's a big drop off between Dylan Gabriel and Garrett Nussmeier. I really don't. I think the problem is gonna come in for Garrett Nussmeier is the fact that you're just playing this year. You sat behind Jaden Daniels the past 2 years. Obviously, you've played in the past, but it's not gonna be a lot of it's not a lot of tape out there on you. Like you're really just going off of this basically this 1 year of you playing. Whereas Dylan
Yeah.
Gabriel, that's gonna be another thing for Dylan Gabriel because he's older, right? You got the Bo Nix thing. That was something that they brought up about Bo Nix, like how long you've been in school. Like Dylan Gabriel's been in school for a long time. So that's kind of knock you. And like I said, me watching Oregon a couple of games this year, he's not playing as well as I feel like he should be playing. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's still trying to get a familiarity with the offense or whatever the situation is,
Mm-hmm.
but his numbers based on the skill, talent, and personnel around him should be a lot more than what it is. 19 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. Like he should be knocking on the door of 30 touchdowns right now. Like it's no reason why he shouldn't be. And
Well,
obviously Clay K Klubnik is another name down there. Curtis Rourke, again, another guy who could be third, fourth, fifth round guy. So I'm just kind of looking at it. I can see four
he's a
quarterbacks going
steal.
in the first round,
He's
but
a
then
steal.
again, I could just see three guys going in the first round.
He's a steal, dog. He's gonna be a steal. I think.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah, he's gonna be a
I,
steal.
yeah, I think he's gonna be a steal in the draft, man. Real good system kind of guy, man. Learn and come in and learn and get the job done. And he's 6'5", 223. I
Yeah.
think he actually lost some weight from last year. I think he got in shape, but 6'5" though. Yeah, I think. Yeah, he's a steal. He's a steal. He may even jump up on a lot of people's boards by the end of the season, man. He may jump up hugely on the draft board. I think so, depending on the outcome of this season, man. Because I do think that they could beat Ohio State, dog. I'm going to say that. I do
I
think
was
that
I,
Indiana could
I,
beat Ohio
I was
State.
having I was having a discussion with myself. Don't judge me. I was having a
No, no,
discussion
you
with
good,
myself
bro.
on the way home from work, though. I was really thinking about that. I said, looking at how they played Penn State, right? And I know we don't have this, but like we just freestyling right now, though,
Yeah, for sure.
because James Franklin. I'm gonna get back to Indiana, right?
Yeah.
Any other year, James Franklin losing to Ohio State, that's the end of it. Like there's no chance at retribution, like nothing, right? That's the end of that. James Franklin has one more opportunity because if they go ahead, they win out, do what they need to do, they will be a playoff team.
Mm-hmm.
James Franklin has to win his first round playoff game because I know a lot is being said. Shout out to Coach Hayes. I think they had a topic about would Penn State really fire James Franklin, and it got me to thinking like Georgia fired Mark Richt, and Penn State, similar to Georgia, prior to Georgia hiring Kirby Smart, Georgia hadn't won a national title since the 80s. Same thing goes for Penn State. Penn State hasn't won a national title since the 80s when they beat my Miami Hurricane. Well, let me take that back. When Vinny Testaverde let them beat us.
Okay.
Let me put it in proper context. So yes, James Franklin can get fired and get replaced by a guy like a Kirk Signetti. Because getting back to Indiana, if Indiana goes out here this weekend and beat Michigan, and then they turn around in 2 weeks after that, they beat Ohio State. Kirk Signetti in 1 year would have done what James Franklin has not been able to do in his entire tenure at Penn State. And we're talking about an Ohio State team right now, and I'm just kind of looking at it. They got a lot of talent on paper, but in some key positions, Ohio State is still relatively young. They still got some other stuff to do. And James Franklin, this is one of your absolute best teams that you had, and y'all literally pissed down your leg. I know Drew
Well,
Aller was hurt; he was in and out of the lineup. So I mean, but still, that was a game that you were supposed to win. I mean, it is what it is. And like I said, with Psycho Kurt out here on the prowl, Kirk Cinetti could very well be the Penn State coach next year.
I don't think he going nowhere. I don't think he going nowhere, Shad. And I could be wrong, but I
He
don't.
got to.
Nah,
He's 63. He got
they
to.
giving him they give it. That's what I'm saying. He's 63 years old. You know what I'm saying? They gave him everything he need at Indiana. Like all these schools had a chance to get Kurt Signetti. You know what I'm saying? Like they had a chance to try to holler out whatever, but he went there and I don't think he's going nowhere. He got everything set at Indiana. Indiana, they
I
gave
felt.
him,
I
look,
mean,
do what you need to do. I'm giving you everything. By the end of this year, Indiana's going to throw him in the bag. They have to. They have to.
I don't know,
They This
man.
should already be in the works right now. But
It,
you're
it,
right
it,
though. Yeah,
it's
and
gonna
it
be
does make
hard
sense.
because to me it's kind of like the Kellen DeBoer. Do I stay at Washington or do I go to Alabama? Not saying Penn State is Alabama, but in reference
Right.
to Indiana to Penn State, that is going from Washington to Alabama.
You're right.
So I mean it's gonna be interesting to see if he stays there because like I said, you got to look at it from this aspect. He's 63. He's not going. I mean, they're going out there looking to embarrass their opponent. I mean that's literally what they are doing. They're looking to embarrass their opponent. I was just looking at Kirk Cinetti's resume the other day. I didn't know he coached at Alabama. You know, he was um, under Saban a couple of years before he obviously went to James Madison. So he knows what it's like to recruit in the South, and that's something that you're gonna need if you're going to get over this Ohio State mountain. And I don't think you're gonna be able to get a lot of guys from the South to go to Indiana, but I think you get them to go to Penn State. So I think you got to look at the a much
Yeah.
bigger picture
You're right.
of this whole thing. And again, I'm gonna say this, Sharon Moore, you cannot again, you cannot let Kirk Cinetti go out here and embarrass you because they're coming to embarrass you. You cannot let Kirk Signetti and the Indiana Hoosiers embarrass you this upcoming weekend. You can't. You can't do it.
They're going ball. And they might. What's good with it, JB? What's good with it, fam? What's good with it, man? Ain't nothing, man. Just out here chopping it up right now. You know what I'm saying? Me and Shaq kicking it and whatever, man. Appreciate you stopping by and showing some love, JB. Man, I think, look, bro, like if Kurt, if Man, Kurt Cincinnati, I can see him going to Penn State. Now you putting it that way, yeah, I can see that happening. I can see that happening. You know, Penn State's a much bigger draw than Indiana, but seeing what he was able to do at Indiana,
That's what makes it intriguing.
you know what I'm saying? Like, and it does make it intriguing. Like, but you know what I'm saying? It's like it's almost as if it's not even the players that he can get in, it's what he's able to do with the players himself.
And you know what? Like I say, I don't want to get too caught up on this because it's easy for us to say that, right? But we gotta think. But also we gotta look at it from the aspect of Kirk Cincinnati has some psychos that are working with him.
Yeah,
His
yeah.
coaching staff, they psychopaths as well, right? And from what I've heard, Kirk Cincinnati is kind of they said he has some of that Jim Harbaugh in him in the sense that we're gonna do things my way, we're gonna be successful, and it grinds people into the ground. So I'm just looking at it from this aspect. Penn State, like, all right, boom, we know how he's gonna be. He's 63. We can 4 maybe 5 years see what it is, get a national title, and then if it doesn't work out, then we can say, hey, look, we got to part ways because we're not going to allow for you to continue to be. We're not going to let you just be a psychopath. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I mean, we're not gonna let you just be a psychopath just for the hell of it. Like, we need to get it because again, like I say, Penn State is right there, and no, not the
Mhm.
James Franklin. James Franklin consolation prize, if you want to call it that, he won't be out of work for a long period of time if this does come to fruition because there are a crap ton of programs out there who can look and say, hey, look, man, we may not get to the big dance, but James Franklin can take our program from 5 or 6 wins to us
Mhm.
being averaging 9 or 10 wins a
Yeah.
year.
Yeah. So
So
yeah, I mean, yeah, he could do that. He could definitely do that. He got to know what he's missing by now. And I
I
think that
don't. I mean, I don't. I
he
don't.
has to know that, man.
I
He
don't
has
I
to
don't
know
know I don't know what it is because again you had it right there and again this is not the first year that Penn State has had one of these teams on the ropes. You know what I mean? This is the first year, so I don't know what it is. I don't know what it takes for them to get over the top. I really don't know. You've had the defense, you've had the offense. Obviously, again, like I say, some Penn State fans may say, "Well, Drew Aller wasn't fully healthy this game," so we had to miss and match some things. But uh, regardless of all of that, man, that game was there to win. You
that. It
get a
was.
pick
It was there
six,
to win.
you're at home. All the makings of that. I mean, what did it need to be? Did it need to be a night game? I mean, what what did it need to be for
If they
y'all to
win,
win this game?
if Penn State wins, we probably sitting here having that same conversation about Ryan Day right now.
And that's the funny. That's you know what, and that's what people went into the season with. Like, okay, Ryan Day, you got to beat Michigan, right? But now Michigan is what they doing. So now it's like, all right, well, Ryan Day, you lost to Oregon, so for you, it's the same thing. You got to go to the playoffs. You got to make it to the national championship game. And if you match up against Oregon again, you have to beat them. Well, no, you got the Big Ten championship game. So you have to beat Oregon if Oregon, continues to handle business. You got to beat them next time around. Because
But
again, that's another caveat that we don't bring up, right?
right,
How does that look, right? Because people, we've been talking about having 3 Big Ten teams in the playoffs. Well, it looks completely different if it's a situation where, let's say, for instance, Indiana runs the table, so it's Indiana versus Oregon. Oregon loses, right? Um, so obviously Oregon and Indiana get there. So do you
Indiana can
make
play with anybody. I think so. I think
so the
so.
question then becomes, do you make justification to put Ohio State and Penn State into the playoffs?
Mm.
I don't think I don't because by that time Ohio State has 2 losses. So
Right.
that opens the door for another Big 12 team or another ACC team to get in there, 2 ACC teams because obviously it's a conniption going on in the ACC right now
I just
because
don't. You
obviously
know what, Chad? Not to cut you, bro, but we go right back. But I don't think that you get rid of James Franklin. He can be fired. Yes, it can happen. Like, yes, it can happen. Um, but with this new 12 team playoff system, and they're possibly trying to move it up to 14 teams. Penn State's making the playoffs every single season. Now, winning the big game, now you're able to see what you actually need. Ohio State went and spent $20 million on a roster to beat Michigan, Penn State, Oregon, those particular three teams. They spent that money at Ohio State to beat Penn State, Michigan, and Oregon, right? I don't think that it's wise for Penn State to get rid of a guy like James Franklin that you're making the college football playoffs every single season. Now, winning, I get it. Getting to the big dance, I get it. I get that. But we get caught up in this recency bias thing and saying it would work for Georgia may not work for Penn State. You know what I'm saying? You know what you're missing. Now, basically, some of those same guys, he's getting the big defensive pass rushers. He's getting the offensive line. He got a Swiss Army knife like no other. 44 is doing some amazing stuff up at Penn State. The way that they use him, the offensive coordinator is there. Now you know you need a little bit more talent on the outside at receiver. I thought that Julian Fleming he was a number one a highly recruited wide receiver talent that went to Ohio State. I thought he was going to be able to provide some things over there at Penn State this year for that receiving court, but it hasn't been. And I think that's just what Penn State is missing. If they can get either out of the transfer portal or recruit some of these receivers, I think Penn State's straight. They got the run game, they got the offensive line, they got the defense. The only thing that they're missing is maybe you can go get another quarterback. You know what I'm saying? And get you another quarterback behind Drew Aller. He's good enough to get it done, but it may be him. I don't know. But you definitely need some more talent at receiver, and that's the fact. You need some more talent on that offense, and because the defense is there. But I don't think that that's wise for Penn State or any Penn State fan out there to get so anxious to say, I want to get rid of James Franklin. You will be in the playoffs every single season. Not many coaches, you're rolling the dice on a coach unless you know for sure you can get yourself a Curt Cignetti. If they know for sure you can get a Curt Cignetti to Penn State, then I think that's something that you think about. But if you cannot get a Curt Cignetti, who do you make that move for? If it's not Curt Cignetti, because that's the only person right now that you're probably willing to make that move for. And it made a lot of sense what you're saying, but with this new playoff system, you're in the playoffs. And I heard what you were saying about that. You know what I'm saying, the whole thing, but they got to be patient. And people got to stop with this recency bias thing of what you like. We got to calm that down a little bit sometimes, because it's crazy to say that. You know how hard it is to win in college football and football period, and then college Power 5 football in the Big Ten to be as relevant as Penn State has been for the past since 2017. 2016, this team has had a winning record since James Franklin walked through these doors. Y'all in the playoffs every year. Calm down. Pump the brakes, y'all. He'll get there. Y'all know what y'all need now to get past. Now, hopefully, the alumni or the collective or however that works gets together and say, we got to get some more talent up at Penn State. We got to go hit the transfer portal hard. We got to get some of these guys off of we know what we need. We need to go after that talent, bring it up here to Penn State, and let's win a national championship. That's it. I mean, it's just that simple. I mean, because for him, I think it is. But when you look at a Curt Cignetti, he's that staff over there is just A1. And I don't know. Like you could either spend the money on the staff or you could spend the money on the players. Which one you want to do, Penn State?
like I say, you make some very compelling points. I really can't disagree with any of the points that you're making. Honestly, I think the thing of it is it gets back down to the aspect of, and it's the same thing I said about Michigan State. I believe when we kind of first convened with one of our shows in the
Yeah.
off season, where it's like, okay, you're in a new Big Ten, right? So you got teams that are coming up. You got a Nebraska that's coming up, right? You got a team like Minnesota that's 6-3 this particular year. Obviously, Indiana's coming out of nowhere. Wisconsin, they've gotten their quarterback situation
Mm-hmm.
kind of squared away. So Penn State is going to be losing quite a bit of talent this upcoming season. So the aspect then becomes, okay, well, what do y'all look like next year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are y'all going to be a double-digit win team? Again, like I say, to me, I can understand that, but you kind of, I think the patience kind of went out the door these past 3 years when they watched what Michigan was able to do. Because they, prior to Connor Stallions, Ohio State pretty much had their way with Michigan for the most part, especially under the Urban Meyer years,
Mm-hmm.
right? They were
Right.
kind of in the same boat Penn State was in. Really, really good defense, average offense. Then those past 3 years, however much Connor Stallions aided in that, you see a completely different team, much more dominant, much more physical, just flawless in many particular aspects. So I think the patience that James Franklin, or the leash that James Franklin got or has, I think that leash got extremely short, because it's like we were ahead of Michigan
Mm-hmm.
in certain aspects, right? They didn't crap the bed their COVID year like Michigan did. Um, they go and win a national championship, right? So now it's like, okay, well, James Franklin is on you. So that's why I feel like in order for James Franklin this particular season, I'm not, and again, I don't know if he's on the hot seat or not. I'm just speaking from the aspect of,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to want to see how you do in the playoffs this
Right.
upcoming year, right?
Right.
You have
Mm-hmm.
you have to win one of those games. And
Right.
like I said, having a showing like that against Ohio State, not a very good Ohio State team, I might add. I mean, it doesn't to me, it doesn't quiet down the thing. And then there was the interaction between him and the fan after the game. So I mean, obviously I didn't watch the video in totality, but I did see it, and I said, well, man, when it gets to that particular point right there,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's like, bro, we're the individuals that donate to this program. Like some of the people that are in charge, they may look at this and like, hey, look, man, come on, this is not a good Ohio State team, and they're not out of the woods just yet either, because they got Washington upcoming, and then they have a Minnesota team that's scrappy. So I mean, they're gonna have to hold on and win to get to the playoffs, because that sure enough would be a death blow, the nail in the coffin to me if they fall out of the 12-team playoffs.
Yeah. 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 I feel that, bro. Yeah, you're right. It would be. I just, you know, I think what we saying is on point for that. I think it really is, man. I think it's on point. You know what I'm saying? It really is. And we called that. We called that. We definitely called a lot of things. And I've been trying to tell people about Curtis Ignetti and them Indiana Hoosiers. I said we better watch out for them in the Big Ten. Better watch out for them, man. You know, you could claim trucking don't know this and trucking don't know that, but I was telling y'all, if you was watching, go back in my archives on the videos. I tried to tell y'all about this team. I tried to tell y'all a little bit about them. Like that team, I don't know what they better watch out for them, man. They trying to rebuild something, and now he's the most sought after coach there is. So I got a question, bro. Like, cause I was thinking about this, right? I was sitting here thinking about it, like if Indiana wins out, right?
Oh
Especially if
man,
Kurt Cincinnati beats Ohio State. So just say they Indiana beats Ohio State and Colorado wins out, right? Between Coach Prime and Kurt Signetti, who gets Coach of the Year? Me myself, I'll give you my answer first, right? And then you go back because me myself, I'm like, if Kurt Cignetти beats Ohio State, you have to give it to him. And I would be ecstatic for Coach Prime, over the top for Coach Prime and what he was able to do this year, especially with all my criticisms that I've been given and the trolling I've been doing for Colorado, right? But at the same time, like you got to give you got to give Kurt Cignetti the coach of the year if he beats Ohio State in the Big Ten, dog. You got to. Like, even if they don't win that last game after Ohio State, and I'm about to try to take a look at their schedule right now, but even if they don't, you know what I'm saying? If they beat Ohio State, bro, like he has to get coach of the year. But what do you think about that? What's your opinion? What's your take on that?
I mean, I want to kind of look back and kind of see what both guys inherited. Obviously, Colorado was a one-win team before Dion took over. I'm looking Indiana prior to Kirk Cignetti, the 3 years prior to Kirk Cignetti getting there, 2 wins, 4 wins, and then 3 wins last year. So they both kind of pretty much took over the same type of program. Um, Honestly, I probably would give it to Kirk Cignetti simply because of if, like you say, I mean, they've already just based on the conference that they're playing in, right? If Kirk
Mm-hmm.
Cignetti is able to run the table, obviously Colorado already has 2 losses right now, so I think that's going to kind of put somewhat of a little kind of a damper on it for Coach Prime.
Mm-hmm.
But um, if Indiana is able to go ahead and beat Michigan and Ohio State, I mean, it's a no-brainer to me. And then just kind of looking at the margin of victory in these games too. It's like they're not, and that's another thing to me. It's like they're not just, and I hate to continue to say this, they're not just beating people.
Mm-hmm.
They're blowing teams out.
Yeah, here it is.
Like I
Here it
mean,
is.
these games are not close.
31-7, 7-7-3, 42-13, 52-14, 42-28, 41-24, 56-7,
And that's a team.
31-17,
And think about that. That's a
47-10.
Nebraska team that beat Colorado,
Yeah, yeah,
and they beat them 56
to 7.
to 56-7.
Yeah.
Like
That
these,
one.
like these games are not even competitive when Indiana walks on the field. They're not competitive.
So would you even be able to argue now that Kurt Cignetti could probably get coach of the year?
There's no argument against Kirk Cignetti, to be honest. I mean, I think the season could end right now, and Kirk Cignetti the coach of the year. Like, I mean, just the aspect. I know some people have thrown Mario Cristobal in there, and yes, we've done a good job based on how poorly we performed last year. But again, I'm not. This is different. Like we're talking. This is the Indiana Hoosiers. This is a basketball school for crying out loud. Victor Ola Victor Oladipo played there. What are we talking about? You know what I'm
I did.
saying?
Yeah, bro. Like I feel you. I was just like I'm sitting there thinking about it, and I'm like, man, because Prime won it last year, right? I think, or what did he get coach of the year, or what did he get? I can't remember. Was it coach of the year or something like that? I know he got some kind of honors, right? At 4-8, and
Oh,
I'm like, yo,
I didn't know that.
what he got some? What I don't remember what kind of honors he got. If he did something like that, some they said he was something of the year last year. It wasn't coach of the year, but it was some kind of honors he got last year. Anyway, um to get coach of the year, like I think right now he has shown that, like, with his staff and everything so far, man. Like, even with the 3 games remaining on the schedule, man. I mean, look, Indiana right now, bro. Like you said, bro. I mean, look, they sitting at 9-0, bro. They sitting at 9-0. That's a total. They totally they flip flop their whole schedule from last year. Their whole record. 3-9 and that. Even if they lose the last 3 games, Like, I mean, I'm just saying, like, you have to make that argument, and it's like, because like you said, the margin of victory, they're in the Big Ten. They've already beaten some good teams that will. I mean, like their schedule, but UCLA, I think they were supposed to. Maryland should. I thought they were supposed to be better than what they were. I thought Northwestern was going to be a little bit better than where they're at right now. Maybe finish like 500. I thought they finished maybe 500 or one game over, 6-6, 7-5 from what they finished last year. Pretty much, everybody was super high on Nebraska, coming off that Colorado win. Everybody was. I mean, I wasn't. I figured they would beat Colorado, but I didn't think that they were going to be world beaters. I didn't think they were going to go 10-2 or 9-3 or anything like that after that Colorado game. No, I didn't. I wasn't on that wave with everybody else. I mean, there was a lot of people screaming that, but I wasn't. With Nebraska anyway. But Washington, I thought Washington would play a little bit better. I mean, they had super expectations coming into the season, man. I mean, Washington, they would, bro. I think I put them in one of the overrated categories. We had did a show, and I think I put Washington in the overrated category only because there was no way they was going to meet the expectations that they had from last year, coming off a 14-1 season. Even with having Jed Fish there in the first year in the Big Ten, I'm like, don't expect them to come out and have no another, 12-1 season, or 11-1 season in the Big Ten. That's not going to happen. Even under Jad Fish, even if the Boer was there, I don't know if they would still be doing that right now because they went to two very tough conferences, and right now, as it stands, I honestly and I might be going on a limb saying this, but I do think that the Big Ten has caught up to the SEC, as far as game. And look, I may be going out on a limb saying this, but I'm just saying it is what it is. The schedules are the schedules, but the SEC teams are playing cupcake teams also, just like Indiana did, and just like all the other Big Ten teams did. And right now, what did the famous coach say? Your record says it says who you are. So I mean, look, there's undefeated teams in the Big Ten, and there's none in the SEC right now. I mean, not to say that they ain't good, but it is what it is. But man, look, I think that you definitely got to give it to him in that way. If that had to come up, man, if that came up, cursing that he did an amazing job and doing an amazing job. The show's Coach Prime over there with the Colorado Buffaloes. They doing an amazing job too. Um, and they got a tough slate ahead too right now, playing Texas Tech. You know what I'm saying? So what you think about that Texas Tech and Colorado game, man? Let's rap about that a little bit before you get on up. Let's rap about that Texas Tech and Colorado game. Where'd you go, bro? You popped off on me?
I don't know what happened. I was just talking about some of the other coaches that I feel like could be up for contention for the coach of the
Okay,
year.
who else?
No,
Cause I
what
ain't
I
hear
was
you.
saying, yeah, okay, my bad. What I was saying was is that what criteria are they going to use? Because like I said, I take a coach like Shane Beamer. I think he's doing pretty good over at South Carolina, but they don't have a win loss
Mm,
record, right? Obviously you have Army,
mm,
BYU, again, schools that teams that are teams that are undefeated. And
mm,
obviously, like I say, Mario Cristobal down there, at Miami. You know what I mean? So
mm,
like I said, they got a lot of directions that they can go in terms of this. Like, what exactly are y'all looking for in terms of a coach of the year? You know what I mean?
mm,
Obviously, you would look at it and say, well, Indiana's not a traditional power, so maybe you give it to them by default. But Army isn't
mm.
a traditional power either. You know what I mean? So it's gonna be interesting. But getting to the Colorado versus Texas Tech game, again, like I said, you're the Big 12 aficionado, right? You know what I mean?
I
That
wouldn't
that's
say
that.
that. I wouldn't
No, I'm
say
just
that,
no,
but
no, no, no. I'm saying it. I'm saying it because, like I said, I would sparingly pay attention to the Big 12. Like, every so often, all right, well, shoot, hey, there goes Michael Crabtree for Texas Tech, or um, oh, Oklahoma's pretty good this year, or look, Texas has a thing, or like when Baylor had their run in the Art Browse, like I would sparingly watch the Big 12.
yeah.
But I know, and we talked about this over the phone, man. I think these two teams, if they look in the mirror, they're the same team.
Yeah,
From an offensive perspective, Texas Tech has some guys that can flat out go catch the ball. With Josh Kelly probably being their number one guy, and obviously we already know Colorado with with Travis Hunter, along with the myriad of other guys. Colorado showing that they can run the ball or going to try to invest in running the ball, I think that gives them another dynamic, which is a dynamic that Texas Tech has already had with the likes of Taj Brooks. And that's why I say you the Big 12 aficionado because you know more so about the defense, right? I'm
mm-hmm.
still as much as I say this, I still get caught up in the aspect that the Big 12 is still the conference that doesn't play defense, even though no conference is playing defense right now.
Yeah,
So every conference right now is essentially what the Big 12 was back when everyone made jokes and said, "Oh, they don't play. They're just all offense, they're no defense." Like that's the
thank
case for
you,
everybody now.
thank you,
Um,
because it is.
yeah, but I mean, honestly, I probably will side with Colorado in this game.
Mm-hmm.
I will because, like I said, if they're going to make Augustus or whoever their primary running back is. I know he was the guy that had the most rushing yards, I believe, the last game that they played.
I'd
So they're
say
going to make a concerted effort to take the ball out of Shadura's hands for the betterment of the team. I mean, Colorado's going to be a hard team to contend with. The defense is much better. I think people have to kind of take the head off to Robert Livingston because I know he was somewhat of a wild card coming into the season because it's like, hey, you're just a defensive back coach in the NFL.
mm-hmm.
But Cincinnati had a pretty good defense, even though he was just a defensive back coach, you know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
I think it's interesting. Now what's again, Colorado likes to play that man to man coverage. So they're gonna have to adjust that against Texas Tech because I don't you don't have enough man corners that can match up with all the receivers that they have.
Yeah,
You
you
just
don't want to.
you
Yeah,
just
you
don't.
don't want to. I mean, I think look, I think they do. I think they do got enough corners, man corners that can. But the thing is like, what do you like? You have to pick your poison with that with this Texas Tech team with Colorado, right? They're gonna have to like,
Yeah.
and vice versa for Texas Tech. This is working for both teams because they are very similar teams in this aspect, right? In that same aspect, because do you load the box if you're Colorado? Do you load the box with single high safety trying to stop Taj Brooks and stop that engine and that motor that's going to get that offense moving and running? Do you sell out to stop him? And then you got to work, but you still got to worry about the receivers. You know what I'm saying? Caleb Douglas, Josh Kelly. You got to worry about those guys on the outside at Texas Tech because they can get the job done. So you like, wow. So do I sell out to try to stop Taj Brooks, or can I rely on this defensive line that has been playing outstanding these last couple of games, and they showed that they can carry this load and they showed improvement. Can they depend on this front six to get the job done? Because they're running that 4-2-5, right? So that front six, can they depend on them to get the job done? It is they need to get the job done this game because they're going to have to guard those receivers, like how you said, Shay. You was right on point with that. They're going to need to guard those guys. So you can't load the box on them. And the same difference for Texas Tech. But the difference is with them, they got some big guys, like 310 plus on their defensive line. With all of their guys, I think they got one guy that's like at 295, but he's a little bit quicker than everybody else. And I think they sit him and they move them all around. They swap them the same way Colorado does. And but they're big guys. They're 310, 6'2", 6 foot, 6 foot or high or taller, 310, 300 some pounds. And or do you sell out to try to stop the run game? Because you're gonna have to put a couple on the box. You gotta respect the run game at Colorado because each of those backs are, relatively averaging almost 5 yards a carry. Michael Welch is at 5 yards a carry. You got Isaiah Gustav. I think he's like four something, almost there. No, I'm sorry, Isaiah Augusta. He's damn near 5 yards a carry. I think it's like 4.8 was where they got him at. And then you got Dallin Hayton. He's averaging the least out of all the backs right now, but he's still a dynamic back. He's one of the most prolific runners on Colorado's team. So what do you do in that situation, right? Like you got to respect that because if you don't, then here comes LaJohntay Wester killing you. Here comes Jimmy Horn Jr. killing you. Travis Hunter killing you. Like, you know what I'm saying? You can't let Travis beat you. You're going to have to put it on the other guys to step up. And you're going to have to stop the run if you Texas Tech. And you got to get, and they're going to have to get the Shador. That's another problem. So, offensively, I think Colorado has the edge offensively a little bit. But defensively, I think they're evenly, but you know what I'm saying? Hey, we'll see. And you do got to slight give the edge to Colorado based upon how they've been playing. I want to see this offensive line hold up again against a team that's going to present some of the same schemes and some of the same problems that Baylor gave them, like how Baylor was able to run their twists and their stunts, their TNTs, and cause different and those mismatches on the offensive line of Colorado, because you're going to have those big 310 pound guys causing double teams. Like they call for double teams. Like if you watch the film and how they're able to slow them guys down is by double teaming them. They're really good run stoppers, that defensive line for Texas Tech. And that's how they were able to play in that game with Iowa State because they were on their assignment. They're all disciplined. And that's why Colorado's defensive line gotten a lot better too, because they're disciplined in that defense. They're staying to their gap assignment. They've been on their gap assignment, playing their gaps the right way that they have to. Their assignment, their alignment. You have to do that as a defensive line. But Texas Tech uses their linebackers in exotic blitzes. They mix it up a little bit with their TNTs, throw things at you that you can't cover. And it's gonna be a task for that offensive line, and expect some hiccups there, especially with the rookie Jordan Seaton, even though he's doing a great job. But in a game like this, where they throw these kind of things at you, these complex blitz schemes that they're going to try to use Texas Tech, man, it's going to be a good one down at Lubbock. But I do think they got the edge because they have one more receiver than what Texas Tech has. And I think Will Sheppard got to step. Will Sheppard can't drop open passes this game. He can't do it. He did it in the Baylor game. He's done it in multiple games this year. So I'm not picking on him when I say that. But he can't drop open passes. Will Sheppard has to step up and play the game because somebody is going to be open, and that person has to be productive for Colorado. But if Texas Tech gets a stop, a 3-and-out on Colorado, they're going to have to score. They're going to have to turn those turnovers into points. They're going to have to get, and settle for field goals may not work, but at least get the field goal because you're not going to be able to stop Shador. The only thing they can do and try to do is slow him down in that offense because the weapons he has is unreal. Like they've been playing unreal. I mean, Jimmy Horn stepped up, LaJohntay. Will, like I said, Will just can't drop passes. But if Omarion Miller was he's out injured, but if he was there, then it would just be an unfair matchup. But Will Sheppard, I think, has to be the X factor of this game, and he got to step up and do his thing. Can't drop those open passes, man. Can't do that. Gotta have it this game. Every little thing counts in this Texas Tech game. It's going to come down to who's playing more disciplined, penalties. I know we don't talk about it a lot, but special teams, tackling, gap assignment, just those little things that the average casual may not see, but it's going to come down to those little things in this game because they both match up real well. It's both of those teams looking at each other in the mirror and playing each other. That's what this is. This is. I mean, look, I'll say it exactly that till you get to the running back. Obviously, we can say Taj Brooks is only better because he has more yards right now. But if Colorado was running the ball as much as Texas Tech right now, I think that they would have a 700-yard rusher and one of those
Yeah.
backs right now. So looking in the mirror at yourself and saying, "Can I stop myself today, or can you know what I mean? Can we do this?" And they can because they practice against each other. So I don't know, man. I think we going. I think people. I heard a lot of people saying Colorado play from ahead. That's their style. They get three and outs, and I think that they do well with that. I could be biting up, kicking myself in the ass saying this right now. But I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a close, good game. It's always a good, entertaining game watching Colorado, but these teams really match up real well across the board, man. And the only difference is the defensive backs for Texas Tech have more interceptions, but I don't see a lot of teams making a lot of mistakes with Colorado as far as that and giving Colorado the chance to get interceptions, right? So I think
Yeah.
if they were playing with Colorado like that, Colorado, I think that them DBs could have the same amount of interceptions like Preston Hodge could have them. You see Colton Hood already step up, and he's what tied for most interceptions on the team, and with two with Travis Hunter got two. So some of the guys they do get after the ball too. So that's like it is what it is. This game, man. Like they gotta hold their own, and they gotta come down to the small things. Gotta tackle in space. You can't let Jimmy Horn and LaJonte catch a drag route and get 10 extra yards. You got to take them down as soon as he catch the ball. Catch the ball, take them down. It's got to be one of those kind of games, man. That's all I'm trying to say. But look, I'm rambling, man. You go on ahead,
That's
Chad, man. Look,
that's
I'm
all.
rambling, bro. I'll get on that, bro, and I get cooking. I get the cooking, bro. So
Oh,
that's
no,
just what
that's
it is.
all. No, that's all good. No, that's all good, bro. You summed it up, like I said. But I get on up out of here now.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Go ahead,
Yeah,
bro. Go ahead, do your
yeah,
thing, man. Do
yeah,
your
yeah.
thing. I appreciate you coming through tonight, bro.
Oh,
Salute
no
to you,
problem.
bro.
Oh, no problem. No problem. No problem.
Salute, salute.
Yeah, but like I
All
said,
right.
we're gonna get the picks in Saturday.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
Saturday for the
yeah,
picks for sure. Yeah, Saturday morning 10, right? 10,
yeah, yeah,
9
yeah,
your time.
yeah. And then, like I said, we'll kind of go over the like the playoff or whatever, like the seed and everything, and then we'll do it like we usually do it.
All right, bet. Let's
But yeah,
do it then. Saturday. So y'all be here Saturday morning. Y'all know what time it is Saturday morning. So that's 9 Central, 10
10
Eastern,
Eastern. Yeah.
10 Eastern. And we'll be here. So we do our Saturday picks, man. I appreciate y'all coming through. Y'all make sure that y'all add Shad, man, on the social media platforms, man. Shad, I think it's Maxima Boy on X, man. Follow us on the social media platforms, all of them, man. Y'all can also follow me on all social media platforms. That's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I'm on TikTok and X, Truck and Chubby. You can't miss it. The same way I spell it here, man. But I appreciate y'all that came through and kicked it with us, man. Salute to y'all. Let me get your game pick for the night, man. Who you got, Bengals or the Ravens, real quick before we get up out of here?
Oh man, I gotta go with the Ravens.
Ravens. All right, bet. All right.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Salute, man.
All
Peace out,
right.
y'all. Y'all have a good night.
All right.
See ya. Another Truck and Chubby production.